right, good morning, everybody. We can go ahead and get started. Welcome today. So today is the non-mandatory pre-submittal conference for Raleigh RFQ. We are in search of a development partner, the City of Memphis, being led by Housing and Community Development, and so that is what we're here to talk about. I am Ashley Cash. I am the Director of Housing and Community Development, also known as HCD. Mary Claire, would you like to introduce yourself? You are speaking, but your audio settings are off, I think. So while you do that, Diane, we've got Diane from Development Services. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Diane with Housing Community Development, and I'm the Manager of Development Services.
Great, thank you. Susanna, would you like to introduce yourself? You are muted. So I will introduce you, and we'll see if when we get to your slide, if you got audio. Susanna Barton is Administrator for the Office of Comprehensive Planning. And Mary Claire, do you want to give it a try? We are still not hearing you. It says you're connected to audio. Can somebody unmute? Let me see. I don't. We are okay. Susanna, do you want to try to speak now?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay, great. Sorry. I have issues with GoToMeeting, so I'm talking via my phone. Hi, everyone. I'm the Administrator of Comprehensive Planning in the Division of Planning and Development, and just tagging along a little bit today with HCD in this meeting.
Great. Thank you. Mary Claire, I see yours just changed to a phone. Do you want your calling in? Perhaps. Okay. We'll get audio squared away, hopefully by the time we get there. Just a couple of housekeeping things. So as I said, this meeting is being recorded. We will post it to our YouTube channel, and then following the meeting, I'm assuming we'll get some questions. We're going to put whatever questions and responses we get in an addendum for the RFP, and then we will also have the link to the recording so that people can refer to that, and that'll just be found on the city's RFP website, excuse me, which is at the end of the presentation. Let me start sharing my screen. I'm going to do this screen. Okay, let's see, everybody should be seeing my presentation, and it's full screen now. Let me just, perfect, okay, all right. So like I said,
Ashley, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, Mary Claire.
Okay, so yeah, I had to do a Susanna and join by phone.
Okay, no problem. While you are here, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. For anyone who doesn't know me, I think I saw a lot of familiar names on the list. I'm Mary Claire Boris with Housing and Community Development, and I was the city's lead project manager for the Raleigh Springs Civic Center redevelopment phase 1 of the government assets.
Thank you, Mary Claire, and thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Certainly we apologize for technical delays. After doing virtual for 2 years, you know, you start to think you've got it under your belt until you don't. So we appreciate y'all's working with us. So what we're talking about is an opportunity for a request for proposal. As I said, we are looking for a development partner, and we are hopeful that we'll find someone to help develop the site adjacent to, it's actually a part of the Raleigh Springs Civic Center, which Mary Claire will talk about in a minute. But we are looking for somebody to help realize the city's vision and then also bring their vision and expertise to that development, be it residential, some type of mixed use, but something that's in character with the neighborhood and adds value and additional assets to the community. Real quick, and Mary Claire, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder. These are just 3 images of the development over there. And so this is the former Raleigh Springs Mall site. It's now home to a beautiful library overlooking a lake and a walking trail. Also has an active skate park, and so any development that you bring in here has immediate access to the public library, immediate access to youth and family. Also, it's a place where young adults, teens can sort of run off and go to the skate park, but still be near enough where parents, relatives don't have to be too afraid. And then as far as safety, on the same premises is the new police station and traffic department. So it looks beautiful, beautiful buildings, new development, and we are hopeful that a development partner can come in and work with the city on that other piece. Mary Claire, I will turn it over to you, and I will, you just tell me next slide when you're ready.
Sure. So just to reiterate what Director Cash said, the city has invested $42 million over the past several years in acquiring this site, tearing down the old mall, and developing the government assets that are currently on site, the police station, the branch library, a lake, which is both, an attractive water feature as well as stormwater detention, our skate park, a walking trail around the lake, and we're about to start construction on a repair shop to fix up the cop cars and motorcycles to keep traffic division humming along. So it's been a remarkable transformation over the last several years, but we do have room to grow. So next slide, please. We have about 19 acres left in the site. I'm just going to point out that if you're looking at the screen, you'll see what looks like a road there off Yale Road. That road didn't actually get built, but the curb cut is already there, so it could be built, or, it could be, this site it's really just 19 acres that can be configured in a variety of ways. So it's kind of a blank slate. It's been cleared and rough graded. It's been hydro-seeded so that, it's been stabilized for the last year or two. And we are ready to see it transformed. It does include, the parcel comes right up to about 5 feet off the walking trail that goes around the lake. So you do get kind of lakeside development opportunities there. Next slide. So the site is, as I said, ready for immediate development. It's zoned commercial mixed use grade 2. So, anything that would be appropriate in a mixed use development, office, retail, restaurants, single family, multifamily residential, live work residential, all of that is possible on this site. And indeed, that is what the Memphis 3.0 plan has envisioned. And as you can see in the image here, this was just literally kind of some doodles. We were hanging out talking about the potential with some of the planners for this area, and a couple of the guys just kind of started sketching what a fully built out residential mixed use development could look like. Obviously, they have drawn things on parcels that are not part of the opportunity that is available here today, but it just kind of gave an idea of how things could be built out, how you can have a variety of different housing types, retail and residential. And so although this was just, kind of a sample vision, and we're certainly, expect that anyone putting forth a response will come up with their own vision, we just wanted to give you this as a sample to kind of spur some thinking, help get the dreaming and the visioning process going on your end. But I will point out that what you see in the kind of upper left part of the intersection there between Austin P and Yale Road, that is, go up, get right there, that is a parcel that the city has already, the city used to own which we have sold off and which is in the process of being redeveloped. So there's new things going on in this area already from the private sector, not just from the government sector. So we're very excited about the potential growth in this area. And with that, Director, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Claire. And so this area is part of Accelerate Memphis, the mayor's $200 million initiative to improve city assets and support the comprehensive plan. Susanna, if you want to talk a little bit about the investment plan and future for Raleigh and where y'all are in progress with that.
Absolutely. So we are in the early design phases right now, where Mary Claire was discussing earlier in this image that you see here. We have approximately $4 million to invest in some initial public infrastructure to really kind of help encourage this development. And so the intention is to create a main street along the waterfront, and to also, as you can see in this image, to create a public promenade that can also be used as an event space, and to have a kind of a feature, potentially feature focal point, maybe a water element or something of that sort in the promenade. And then also the intention is to start the initial internal street network. And so obviously it would be done in a way where we're connecting off of this main street along the water to really make this a feature point in the development. And then it would allow for future development, whether it be mixed-use development, residential development. So again, it's a $4 million investment, and it is part of Accelerate Memphis. So we are working with Cannon & Cannon on the design of this project. And if anyone has any questions, obviously you can send them to HCD, and we'll be happy to share from planning and development. This project will be, the intention with all Accelerate projects is to be complete by the end of 2023.
Thank you, Susanna. And just to clarify, so I know there's part of that $4 million investment going to the public amenities that you talked about, but then there's an additional portion that would be reserved, may not be the right word, but where we will work with the developer to craft out that internal grid, that street network, those infrastructure improvements.
Right. That would be the intention, absolutely, is to work with the developer on that internal street network. So we'll kind of start with that main street and that promenade, and then obviously want it all to work together.
Great. So that's almost like a built-in $2 to $3 million incentive in this area, where the city will be providing some funds for public infrastructure relative to the development. So that's I think a great amenity for the area. Thank you, Susanna. This slide is just kind of just to let you know we're going over the highlights and what we think is exciting and unique about the opportunity, but obviously encourage you to read the full RFP for any details. We talk about street access, utilities, assets, stormwater, and the site conditions, and then specifically talk about the scope and what we are looking for in terms of development. Like I said, we are putting out our wish list, so to speak, but we think that y'all have market expertise and then expertise in certain products where we hope that you can sort of marry and see what we're trying to achieve, but then bring us something that is realistic and collaborative, that is supportive of what we want, but then also what your goals are as it relates to development in the area. We talked a little bit about the Accelerate Memphis incentive. The other piece of the other incentive I think that's crucial to the area, along Austin P, right around the site. I know the northern edge is Covington Pike, but the area is actually part of a TIF district. That TIF is administered by EDGE, the Economic Development Growth Engine. And so what I would encourage, the TIF, there isn't funds in the TIF as of yet. If folks are familiar with the TIF, just because you establish one, unless somebody makes an initial investment, it doesn't mean that there are funds available at that time. But the TIF is able to pay for public improvements, different types of public infrastructure. That could also include green space, anything that's a public amenity related to the site. And so I would certainly encourage y'all to reach out to Edge before putting together an application, just to talk a little bit about what you are trying to achieve, to learn more about the TIF and the current ways that it might be able to be activated specifically for this site. And then in the RFP, I think around page 12 or so, we do talk about other incentives that are just offered relative to either pilot or housing incentives. The HCD currently has an affordable housing trust fund that has some funds available for multifamily development. And so certainly take a look at that to see what is out there, what's available. And then we also talk in our scoring about how you might arrange the capital to make your development come to fruition. And so certainly want to take advantage of whatever incentives are relative to what's being presented. So the deadline, we are trying to give about, I want to say 3.5 months for the full proposal, giving you time to do due diligence, identify development partners. Certainly, like I said, reach out to those groups like Edge and others who where you may need some additional information. So the question and answer, you can submit questions at any time. The deadline to submit those questions is going to be April 22nd at 5 p.m. All of the questions need to go to Brian Wiswall, who is our purchasing agent, and they will work with HCD and what other agencies or what other divisions need to respond to those questions depending on what they are. The site is open and available there. Mary Claire, there's not a gate or anything like that, is there? Okay, no gate or anything. Obviously, the southern part of the site is active and well utilized daily, and so just go out there whenever you want. These will not be coordinated site visits if you go out, so just take your team, go figure out what you need to see, and do that at your own convenience. The deadline to submit proposals is June 15th. The RFP, I'm not looking at it right now. I'll pull it up here in a second, but I don't know the time on it. It may be 4 p.m. or it may be 11:59, but we can certainly confirm that, or you can confirm it when you read the RFP. And then what we want to do oh, go ahead, Mary Claire. Say that again.
I believe it's due at noon.
Noon. Perfect. I was wrong on both. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. But we think that gives enough time to put together a pretty decent proposal. And then what we want to do from there is we'll have a small committee to review the proposals against the scoring, which is also in the RFP. We'll make a selection depending on how many people apply and the competitiveness of the proposals. We may have interviews, we may not. And so we will certainly keep you abreast of that. But what we want to do from the time we receive that until around that last week of August is really work through identifying the development partner, agreeing upon a development concept between city and the private entity, and then work on having that agreement, which would ultimately include the sale of the land and any other necessary agreements done, like I said, towards the end of August. Let's see. That is the Raleigh RFP. We are going to open it for questions, but before we do, the questions should be specific to Raleigh. I just wanted to let y'all know we've got 2 more of these proposals being released tomorrow, actually. One is North Main in the Pinch District at 369 and 371 North Main Street. So be on the lookout for that one. And then the other is in the area of, on 3373 Regal Plaza, 38116 area, adjacent to the old Graves School, if you can see in its Graves Road. That used to be Maple Ridge Apartments, a lot of acres out there. And so those 2 will be coming online. Tomorrow we will have an additional non-mandatory pre-submittal conference specific to those, but we just wanted to let y'all know to be on the lookout for those 2 items. The last thing, we are going to open it up for a few questions. What we will do, since all questions need to go through the official channels, is whatever questions we get today and responses, we'll actually add those as an addendum to the RFP in the next day or so, a couple of days, however long it takes us to get that put together. But with that, I don't have anything else. Are there any general comments or questions that we can respond to? And you can put them in the chat or unmute yourself. It's a relatively small group if folks want to do that. And while we wait to see if anybody puts their question in the chat, the other official channel, you can certainly digest what you've heard and email any questions to brian.wiswall@memphistn.gov. Dave, I think I see that you have unmuted. Do you have a question?
Yes, hi there, and thank you all for hosting us and giving us a quick overview. A couple of questions. In terms of sort of housing density, has there been a market study that you folks have conducted that can at least help us sort of guide the program and planning for the site? So that's sort of one question. And the second, kind of just following up a little bit on what Susanna touched base, in terms of the Accelerate Memphis development and creating this sort of main street along the water, you mentioned that it would be completed by 2023. And if that's the case, should we assume that as sort of a given parameter for the future development of the site?
Susanna, I would actually throw both of those questions to you. I will take a stab at responding to both as well. But I would say related to the market study, so the Office of Comprehensive Planning completed a small area plan, which the link is actually in attachments, the attachments section of the RFP. In that small area plan, I think they talk about housing density. There was a citywide study that was completed relative to the amount of population that the city can expect to see either increase or move around. And then there were some assumptions made related to the density of housing. Additionally, there were some community engagement exercises that said, you know, if the homes could be this dense, are you comfortable with that? And so we tried to refine that through there. And so, Susanna, did I respond appropriately, or would you want to add anything?
You absolutely did. You absolutely did. And I think the other question was about, you know, should we, I believe if I heard correctly, should we assume that the main street and the promenade along the water, tying the future development to the water, will be in place? And that answer to that is yes. That is our intention, to make that investment between now and the end of 2023.
Got it. Thank you. And are there sort of, just to follow up on that, are there sort of any specific sort of plans or drawings that we should be aware of as we think about sort of how to respond to this RFP in general, even if these are sort of concept plans, sketches, that don't define?
Yeah, so again, we're working with Canon, and I'm looking at a very preliminary sketch right now, but Ashley and I can coordinate the sharing of information on that as well. I'm happy to do that.
Great, thank you.
Great. Any other questions for today? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for your time. Mary Claire, thank you for your expertise. And Susanna, thank you for your expertise as well. We look forward to getting some great proposals relative to this RFP. And then we hope to see y'all back in a couple of weeks on the other two, if there's some interest there. Thanks so much, and y'all have a good afternoon.